a sentence or something like
Yes.
that.
I always thought it was a bad storm somewhere in the United States.
Nah, I think it's their signal or DVR.
Since we don't have a big crowd, I'm not that. Okay.
Go.
Okay.
Talk about it.
We're streaming this and we're recording, so the only thing is if you do, just sure you carry so that they can hear it
Okay.
at home or TV.
I'm going to be brief. Good evening, everybody. My name is Pat Hunt. I'm the Area Director of Operations. I'm located in Dagsboro. Just want to make some quick introductions. I have with me tonight Carrie Boggs, and she is the Regional Government Relations Manager, Gulf Breeze, Florida. We also have Mitch Arnovic. He is Regional Call Center Director, also based in Gulf Breeze, Florida. And for those of you that have been here before, I have Katie Brinsfield. She's up in Dagsboro. She's the administrative assistant. And there's been a recent change in management. If you've been here before, I've been to the meetings for the past 3 years as the Tech Ops Manager. Glenn Bisogno is the area director, was taken ill, so he was not able to the job anymore. So I've been in place since October of 2015. This past year, some of the things that we've done system-wide is went to a digital platform. We turned off channels April 22nd for our digital transition. That allowed us to go from 68 to 80 channels in the family TV lineup. We went from 33 to 56 HD channels in the family package, and went 5 to 25 in the premium HD, which is HBO, Showtime, Stars, play channels. We added home controller to our system July of 2015. And you don't know what controller is? That's a security system that we installed. We also added TiVo in our system September 2014, and we made room for additional bandwidth in September as well, the enhancement of the internet. And last several months, we have added WRDE and TV, which everybody, I think, is very happy to see those channels at. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Q&A, and I'm not sure if you had a format you wanted to able to step up or
No.
But, we're here to answer any and all your questions and help you in any way we can. So, yes.
Can I just ask before we get into specifics?
Sure.
Do you have any scheduled or program upgrades that you're doing in the mines right now? I see a lot of trucks out that looks like they're laying new cable, things like that. Is that something you can talk about?
Well, actually, what we're doing is we're just trying to identify any bad lines and get rid of them. I overheard you say that you had bad lines to your house, and we have 3 gentlemen down here. You probably see them all the time. They live in the Pines, and we have a minimum of usually 4 techs per day working in the Pines. So we're trying our best to identify any bad lines you have and get those out of the ground buried, just to improve your reception with your video and your high-speed data. Yes, sir.
One of the problems I have, and it's been going on, and the best I can relate back to it is when you changed over to the digital, and we had to put those little boxes like up on the various TVs.
The PTAs. Yes.
Ever since then, I've noticed on the main line coming in, the main TV that I have that goes through the DVR first, and to that set, I get a lot of tiling in the evening. I don't watch it during the day, so I can't say whether it comes or doesn't come today. But there's a lot of tiling going on right in the middle of all the programs, all night long. And then an interruption in the audio, maybe only 30 seconds, but it's constantly every 10, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, and constantly throughout your shows. Even when you're recording and you're playing it back the list that you have, you get right in the middle of the critical areas, and you get the tiling and you get the dropping of the audio. And And the only thing I can relate it back to is about the time, it started about the time you made the conversion to the digital.
Okay. Have you had a service call?
I've had several services.
Okay.
I have come to the conclusion, because I don't get it on my other sets that have the little black ones. I mean, it's not going through the DVR. I don't seem to be getting it there. So I'm almost convinced that either you have a signal problem coming in, you know what I mean, that's going into the DVR, where the DVR has been.
Well, I wasn't eavesdropping, but I overheard some conversations before we started the meeting, and you mentioned you had bad wiring, and everything was resolved.
I've been rewired and everything.
Okay.
I've had all my connections in the house checked. Last year, or maybe a year and a half ago, they ran a new line from the box all the way through to the house.
Okay.
It's the new yellow line. It may have been orange before, but it's yellow now from the sun, probably. But wiring has been checked. Everything's been checked on the inside. The connections and terminals have all been upgraded, whatever. Yes, I have 7 televisions throughout the house. Only one or a maximum of 2, but it's only the wife and I. So there's only 2 televisions on at any given time. And it's always only in the evening. We never have them on for the day.
Right.
But it's in the evening, right in the middle of a good story, and you're getting ready to hear a good punchline or whatever, in a mystery story or so, and bingo, out goes the audio, and you can't recover.
Right, I understand. Well, what we've done in the past here is, I believe, I'm a former technician many years out in the field, so I believe anything can be fixed. What we've done in the past with these meetings is we've come up, and if you're having issues, Katie will take your name and address, and we'll run a call out there, and I'll personally see it through, so that I get the information that I think you can fix your problem.
Now, see, I believe that when we've had that tiling and stuff that went on, is that I was forced to go back and go on demand and watch it again because I would miss the punchline, whatever, and then I would go back and sit TV again. But on the on-demand, there's no problem with it. It's only on the current station as it's being fed to you. I don't know if it's the station or whether it's, well, it's not on the tape because you can go back on demand and it's not on the tape. It's on the channel itself. Because we had that problem, and we have it just about every time. I always attributed it to, I would go to 211 and look to see if there was a storm in the area. And inevitably there'd be a storm around somewhere. So I always thought maybe the cable signal was being interrupted because of a storm in the area or something.
I without seeing the problem, I really can't speculate. It could be 100 different things. I mean, it could be a loose connector. It could be a bad connector. It's impossible for me to tell you this is what it is. Again, we'd be more than happy to send somebody out. And
well, we've had servicemen come out.
Is it all the time? Is it a constant? One channel. What you're saying?
It's hard to say if it's all the time because it'll be like 3 or 4 days in a row, and then they'll straighten up and do the right thing, and inevitably call a serviceman to come out. Got the problem.
Then it doesn't
never
happen.
happens. And so,
I understand.
It's where to King come that there was something there for him to see, and there's nothing. And then they jiggle a few wires and they put little stuff in and out. They say, well, we think we got the problem. There's nothing worse than hearing, we think we got the problem, and then all of a sudden they're gone, 10 minutes, and boom, it's happened. I, unlike him, run my teeth almost 24 hours because I'm there, and my husband, I'm like, I can't sleep at night, so I'm running it all night long, and he's up during the day, so he watches TV daytime. So our TV just runs constantly, but I figure that TV's going to give out. You can't push. You know what I mean?
I understand.
I just got Mediacom. I've only been here since September 2013. And so I called to check, and they wanted to take like a week and a half to bring another box in. And I said, look, I'm not happy with that. So they did bring me out on Wednesday, and that was still 5 days, I waited. And then the check came, and for the box that had, he took the whole box and gave us he came, and we lost I lost my caller ID. And it just keeps coming up, caller ID unavailable. So I called, and they said unplug the something and this. Well, I still don't.
Did they ask you to reboot it? Is that what they?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, yeah. That they unplugged the television because my service was out this morning at 3:00. My phone, so I know it. This water happened. Did you?
Well, if the lines have, if they're compromised or they have a break in it, water in there, yeah, that's something we should identify on a service.
Flooded. My backyard was flooded in the box. I think they used the box back here.
I was going to ask about that because we're close to the water line as it is. And you see a lot of these junction boxes around the pond open with wires sticking out. And I know the one next to my house, when it rains really heavy, it'll be a half a foot of water that the box is sitting in, open, with wiring exposed. I'm assuming the stuff inside is watertight.
Yes, but still, we
It
should
doesn't look right.
We shouldn't have those boxes open. You're correct. Those boxes should not be open. We should be securing the boxes. But the cable we use is an underground cable. It's got a flip. They call it a flooding compound. So if it gets a nick on it, the compound comes out and seals it out. Yeah, seals the cable. And orange cables that go to the, are the same way. The compound is very, and it shouldn't. Water shouldn't affect it. However, if you've got an old line, anything's possible. There's a crack, compromise in it, something could happen.
I'm sorry, just one more time. Just for historical purposes, I think I read this somewhere. You all didn't lay the original lines here, right? There was another company here before Mediacom, was right?
I wasn't here long enough.
Mediacom bought another company that it was, I think, American TV or something, American Cable TV.
Yeah.
How long have you guys been?
13, 14 years, I think.
And I think some of these lines that are in the pines feeding a lot of these homes are those original lines, and they're not the original. They're just plain old indoor RG5. They're not outdoor wire. That's what the problem was at my house.
Yeah. Well, our technicians, when they go out to a service call and they see that 59 cable buried, the first thing they do is get rid of that, put it for a line. That's what should happen.
Yes,
Yes,
should
sir.
happen.
Along that line, where we live, pretty much there's only 2 full-time residents, probably about 8 or 9 houses. Everybody else is either weekenders or rental. And it seems like the TV problem, tiling and all been fixed. But we lose our internet when it rains. Our internet will go out. My phone, we boot our modem once a week. Because our phone goes out.
If not once a day.
Really?
And I've had a tech come out of the house. Everything from the inside of the house has been out the same day. Nothing is wrong inside of the house. One time he came out because we lost internet before Thanksgiving. We lost before Christmas and before New Year. Like clock, no internet. Well, I work for part-time. My son was down and he was staying with us for Thanksgiving. He had to go back because he didn't work in the winter. But the tech came out, checked the house. Wiring in the house is good. Everything works inside the house. Checked out. He went to a pedestal. Went to 3 houses down. He said there was a problem between that pedestal and our house. So they called me. They set it outside tech out. I get a knock on the door. The outside tech comes out. And he says, "You say you hit?" Yeah. He said, "Well, there's nothing wrong out there. It's inside the house." I said, "Well, same tech that he's inside my house twice said it's out there, so it's not your problem." He said, "We wanted to come in. I left when I take a look, track by the house. boots off. I got on that. And he says, well, I can't find a problem. I need your money.
But to this day, in that area, there's been an orange cable above the ground for 3 months. We live on Mallard Drive West. There's two. One's a really long one up near the front of the street. And then there's one down on the court, and they've both been above ground for months and months and months.
After the meeting, can we get your address so we can get this thing together?
We quit calling because we just reset.
Well, every time we call, it's reset your motor. Oh, okay, that's what I got to
And
do.
to be honest, the last time I called, the young lady on the phone was somewhere in the Midwest. Had told me the person I talked to over that weekend was somewhere in the Philippines. She didn't know what she was doing. And supposedly set me up an appointment, and the lady in the United States told me if you all came out, you'd charge me. So I let her do whatever, and now I just reset them up.
To see you after you get your address.
Widower and I social security.
They go.
Don't give anything. Some veteran down. I've tried to do some of the shows, but what I like is folks that
I can talk a little bit about our price and work that up here. I know everybody's probably going to have questions about their bills.
do you give financial help?
We not.
That's what I'm asking.
We do a
Basically.
seasonal. Yeah, we do a seasonal.
We didn't hear your question.
He's asking about service rates and any type of special for seniors or veterans, any type of discounts. We unfortunately do not do any type of senior discount, veteran discount. Sorry. Thank you for that. I know you guys have probably noticed regional port surcharge on your bill lately. Going back about 3 years, we have a local broadcast surcharge starting in 2020. We as a company, your local channels, your ABC, your NBC, your Fox, for a very, very long time, they were free over the air, and they didn't charge anything to any cable company, from Comcast to Mediacom to a local mom and pop cable company, to rebroadcast their signals. They started to charge us on a per customer basis many years ago. Most of the cable industry absorbed the smaller costs for a little while, and then it just became too burdensome for the company, and after all, we are a business. And so we it went from, if I don't, just a couple of statistics for you. Starting about 2005, local broadcast channel was about a $12 million industry. So across the United States, about $12 million was being spent to your local ABC, NBC, or so. So in 7 years, it increased to $2.4 billion. So it's 8,600% increase in 7 years, which is not a cost that the cable industry themselves just simply about that long. So starting in 2012, Mediacom did instigate a local broadcast surcharge, and you'll see that as a line on your bill. And got you guys on it's at $391 now. And that is how much we pay local broadcasters the ability to give you those local channels, your ABC, your NBC, your CBS, your Fox.
I was going to say, I didn't quite hear all his questions, but enough to say, why can't you offer, not necessarily a total cafeteria, but maybe for people like him and others throughout the year, give a CBS, an ABC, an NBC, and a Fox as a plan, period.
And we don't
And
unfortunately
you
offer
could do
anything.
that, but you could do that if you wanted to at
No,
a
we
reduced
can't.
price of probably $20 or $30 a month.
Actually, a
on
lot of
4
those
channels.
channels are tied to other channels.
But you tied them there, I would believe.
Oh, no. We don't own the channels. The channels, like, for instance, Disney. Disney owns ESPN, NBC Universal. NBC is tied to Sci-Fi, to USA. All of those channels are a bundle package. That when we negotiate with NBC Universal, with Viacom, with Disney ESPN, it's an all or nothing package. We don't get to pick and choose. In fact, we petitioned the FCC back in July of last year to allow for an a la carte basis. We are all for a la carte pricing because every customer wants to pick the channels that they want to watch and just pay for the channels they want to watch.
Right.
Unfortunately, that's not how networks want you to watch. And you know, I'm sure for them, there's probably some marketing involved in it. If you're a sci-fi fan, maybe you'll like USA programming, you know, or that kind of thing. But we do not bundle those channels together. Those channels come through the negotiations for the popular channels, say TNT and Turner Networks. You get those, and then you get some tertiary channels that we have to provide. So all of that is bundled, and it is part of your family package. So, I was actually getting that, so you jumped ahead from it. But that's actually where I was headed. This is fun. So that's kind of the explanation for a channel. So I'm very sorry I don't have a better answer for it. But unfortunately, besides the seasonal rate that we offer.
I was going to give an example on point bill. Movies and music. Like, period before that was $7.95.
I mean, I have to look at your bill and see if there's some partial funds. Did they give you some credit?
Is the local channel that's written on the bill, is that like CBS/WBOC, or is that Channel 78, which is our access channel? When it's written on the bill for the $3 and something that you're talking.
The local broadcast surcharge?
Yes.
That's for your NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox.
So that would be WBOC, Channel 21, 16, and all that
I don't know the call letters for your specific networks.
added on. So, but that's not the local access that is Channel 78 that Ocean Pines tells all the events that are going on.
No, it's not.
Okay. That's a free.
The sports surcharge. Could you explain that?
I can. The regional sports surcharge was another cost that we absorbed up through really until October, when a lot of college football they've started branching out instead of being on just ESPN or your ABC or CBS affiliate. They've all branched out to their own network, NFL network, SEC channel, Big Ten network. Again, those are tied to ESPN and the big sports channel. And again, we are a business that costs that's where your largest cost is.
So you get that surcharge even if you don't have the channel.
Our family cable on up all has sports channels. ESPN is part of our very part.
And you can't bail out of that.
Unfortunately, it's one of the most expensive channels on your cable lineup.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
But if you pay for the sports package addition, you still have that. Right.
Well, there's two different things. The regional sports surcharge is for the sports networks that are carried on your family cable. The sports and information package is in addition, and I believe, Katie.
That's where the NFL network.
Correct. The one.
Question about the channel, though. When you guys pick channels to offer here, I assume somewhere in the only DC broadcast channel that you have is the WTG. You don't pick up any of the other DC areas. Like, we don't have a choice.
You don't in the sense that you're in a DMA, which is a direct marketing area, which is actually put out by the FTC. They draw lines and say these areas get broadcasts from this area. For instance, I have in Alabama, I have an area they're in the middle of Alabama, but they're in a Meridian, Mississippi market. They get programming from
But we
the
do get a DC channel.
And
a
if
Philly channel.
there is a network that is broadcasting a signal strong enough to get to, and they request for us to put them on the network, we will try and make space on. But I'm not positive what your DMA is here. I can find out for you. Salisbury. So your local programming are to carry up.
Okay, well, we carry a Fox Salisbury and a CBS Salisbury. But they also carry a Fox DC and a Philly and a Baltimore. I would prefer a different
Philly,
DC
Washington,
vendor.
yeah.
Because WTTG, I don't like their
I think we also requested that. We as in Ocean Pines requested that I know they were going to take away one of the major places. It may have been DC that they were going to take away. There's enough people that live here that want to know what's going on in DC, Philadelphia, and in Delaware.
If it were just about that, we would be more than happy to accommodate. But it's about the market that we're required to give programming in. So if there's programming in DC, but you're in a Salisbury market, the Salisbury channels have priority. And they want to give you their programming, they want to give their advertisers. So we're required to accommodate them, or we can accommodate another market.
Does that have anything to do with Ocean Pines being a franchise?
Sorry?
Does that have anything to do with Ocean Pines being a franchise of Mediacom?
No, ma'am.
Because I noticed that on my bill now that I've not had in the past is a franchise, and it's $350 for a franchise fee. And I
We've
know
had
that
franchise fees for quite a long time. It's paid to Ocean Pines.
Ocean Pines was a franchisee at one time because there wasn't all of the cable ground, and so they got a franchise.
They've had a franchise with us for well over 15 years.
Yes. And so is there at any time that they'll run out of that franchise business and that'll be one less bill amount on our bill?
No, because that franchise fee, I mean, we use the rights of way in Ocean Pines in return. There's a fee that goes along with that. And we pay it to Ocean Pines so that they can invest it in your community.
But we
Right,
pay
but
it
we
to
never
you so
had
you
it
can
on our
pay it to them.
individual bill, and now we do.
Even though we already pay them.
That franchise fee's been there for quite. Yeah, who's that?
On the franchise?
Yeah. Yeah, look, you haven't done. I've had it for 15 years here.
Yeah, it's been there for quite some time, but all of our franchises work that way.
Yeah.
We have franchises at the state level, at the community level, at the county level, in all different ways, and it's the exact same thing. There's a franchise fee paid. Some people call it a franchise fee, some people call it a communication fee. It's different.
Another question that this gentleman brought up, rebooting. You know, it seems like there's an overabundance, a need to reboot because for one reason or another, the DVR just completely loses the signal, or you know, overnight. You know, I can have it last night and this morning I have to reboot the whole signal in order to get the DVR to turn back on. And this has happened for frequently as time goes on. And I still think, to the best of my knowledge, this goes back to the digital version last year. Well, we never had these kind of problems until that conversion happened. Now I have this tiling, I have this drop audio, I have this rebooting constant. And to the best of my recollection, the only thing I can tie it back to is the conversion to digital. Now, again, saying that I have a number of other televisions that have the little box. I only have the one television coming from DVR. And it only seems to be the one television coming from the DVR that seems to be affected.
Right, from what you've explained before, constant rebooting is not normal. No, that's why we need to take a look deeper into what's going on there. And to go back to your point about when it started, when the digital version started, that may be true because what we did was we changed from an analog signal to a digital. Analog is much more forgiving than digital. Analog, if you remember, several years ago when you had an analog, if you had a signal problem, you would get a snowy picture. you no longer get a snowy picture. You get pixelated. So it's a lot less forgiving. So,
That's your
you know,
tiling.
I guess that's the same, pixelating is the same as tiling.
tiling, I'm sorry, yeah.
Squares.
Yeah,
It's
either-
okay. I call it
We're
pixelating.
synonymous.
Everybody else tells me it's
That's all right.
styling. I like that.
Whichever.
But
But Mediacom has
but we-
replaced both our modem and our DVR. Knock on wood. But we still have to reboot that modem.
But, you know, again, like I said before, we would love to come out and take a look, a little deeper look at your home.
And Katie's here to take your information
Yes,
afterward.
absolutely.
And either she or Pat or I or Mitch, one of us will follow.
Yes, sir.
I have a question about Netflix.
A question about what?
The trouble seems to
Netflix.
Netflix. Trouble seems to have happened right after we went from a modem and a router to a combination. And we, about 2 days, I fought with TV and with Netflix. I can get the logo on, and I can get the movies that are around. As soon as I select one, back in the cable. And it kept happening and happening. Could not get on there. Finally, I did a lot of troubleshooting, and I find that I have to reboot my router, combination router. But in the morning, I can get it. In the afternoon, I can get it. As soon as I hit 8 o'clock later, I have to reboot.
In the evening is when you're having an issue? Okay. Yeah, Netflix, I mean, you've got to have a strong signal, of course, or it's going to kick you off, you know, with wireless. But, again, that's, you know, kind of describing things that other people are describing tonight in the evening hours. So, you know, I
So
think
it's
it warrants a look. Yeah.
more of where's the problem? Of an overload signal, or
Well,
you don't have the time?
I can't say for sure what it is. I mean, when you first started speaking, I thought maybe it was a bad combination of router, but you're saying it does work sometimes. Other times it doesn't work, right?
Yes.
But at the same time, it doesn't work, right?
At evening, we forget it. We have to reboot each time.
Okay.
It's no big problem, but you know, it's just something I have to do each time. I don't know how long it lasts. And it's strange, but like I said, too, before we didn't have it, we had the separate mode.
And you have a router that we provided, correct?
Pardon?
Do you have the modem router
Yes.
combo that we provided,
Yes.
correct? So I would say, again, give Miss Katie your name and see what's going on, because I'm hearing a lot of in the evening problems.
All right. I have one other question. There's a website called Nomo Robo. They block all the robo calls. And you can get on it, except Mediacom is not on the list of the people service. They ask you to get with the company, put on the list. You ever hear of Novo?
I'm sorry, I haven't.
Is that
You
one
have-
I've never heard of?
You have block call option where you can block the calls from the telephone.
We're gonna let Mitch kind
If you're on
of
the-
nod a little bit to this. He might know just a little bit more than we do, but go ahead.
It's only limited to 10 calls,
Okay.
and this will go further than that.
Okay.
I don't know. I'd like for you to.
Have you?
I'm not familiar with the website. I'd be happy to take a look at it and provide some feedback.
And one other question, talking about the drop word, stuff like that. We put the captions on it goes
The closed captioning?
captions on the TV and it goes. And I would say that it's a TV problem.
That's
Although my sister has it.
Let me ask you something. When you read,
I'm sorry. This lady over here's raised her hand 4 times, so.
Put
No,
that
it's
on.
just minor. I just wanted to add for townhouses.
The problem with drop.
And we are rebooting around that. I just want, and that's any time that.
Are you rebooting a router or modem? Just for clarification. They are 2 different things. And each.
I'm not sure. The one with 6 or 7 lights?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is that?
It's probably the modem.
Thank you.
If you reboot that, what is that? You just unplug it and plug it back in, and that's the box, the modem.
The modem, yes, it's typically black. It's been tan in the past. But
Hour with that 6
Oh, okay, and that's what you.
Can we talk about the closed caption for a second? That closed caption annoys the hell out of me on the TV. Because I'm turning it on the TV to that's just in the wall, up to the wall, and not through a DVR or anything like that. That closed caption never keeps up with the words of somebody. I mean, I'm not deaf, but it does help when it sounds loud or something to see the clarification. But it never keeps up with the words. It misses half of the words. It misspells a lot of stuff. And then it makes up the words that it thinks needs to get. It's what they said instead of really what they said.
Captioning is something that comes from television. It's not something that we don't tell your TV to do closed captioning. It's provided over the signal of the network. So closed captioning is something that is TV is putting the words up there.
So it's from the TV. It's not from Mediacom. Right. Because it was saying if you're having trouble with closed caption, call this lady. Yeah. So I didn't know. I should call the
know about closed captioning.
I have not.
Closed captioning done by someone and do it with the special machine, stuff on your screen, and it is going to instantaneously as I'm talking. So you always.
Okay.
I think.
My daughter is a closed captioner.
I want to make sure we might be talking about two different things here. I think you're talking about phone calls, correct?
No, we're talking about closed captioning.
You're talking about closed captioning on the TV.
That's how it's done. My
It's
daughter
just
does
that
it.
sometimes the words are dropped or the whole sentence, they don't get it. It'll
Well,
be a
maybe
long
because they
delay.
didn't get it.
And then it'll jump to the next part that they're
And
talking
because
about.
whoever is closed captioning that
Okay.
is not doing the job that they're
I don't
supposed
mean
be
to
doing.
sound offensive. I just didn't understand the
But it is
process.
a person. So, my daughter does it by.
And she does closed caption almost all
Yeah,
over my house.
she does it every.
Is this a job?
That's just her job.
She's been
Are they
trained
hiring?
for that.
Oh, you need a lot of school for that.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
If I could just jump back to this call blocking thing for just a second. I just moved from the West Coast and I had the same problem with Time Warner, so this may end up being a government do, I don't know. But if we had the ability to block the name instead of the phone number, we could solve a lot of these robocalls because the name is always the same, 800 service. Every time you block their number, they just change it. They just get another number. And you can only block so many numbers. And I don't know if it's possible, this is just feedback, if there's a way to give us an option to block the name regardless of the number associated with it. I know in my personal example, I could get rid of blockings. And 800 service is one of them.
Well,
I probably have 7 different phone numbers blocked for 800 service.
we found, because we signed up for the government, do not call them. We get sales calls that are automated that are coming from people's names with phone numbers, and I started calling them back. They're all disconnected. So I believe whoever these services are buying these disconnected numbers, and they just somehow route them through their system because it's the most annoying thing on earth. And you'll tell them, please put me on your do not call list before you finish the sentence they put up on. That's your fault. But somebody,
Now, everyone knows,
FCC,
I
FTC,
found out very recently you have to renew your name on that list.
we just moved here, so I've renewed it. I didn't renew
I
it.
was surprised.
We put our cell phones on it, but it doesn't. And they just tell you, if somebody's coming through, you need to tell them, please place me on your do not call list. They don't even let you finish the sentence.
Like I tell you, donotcall.gov is fairly effective for legitimate businesses. If you're dealing with fraud, I believe the site's a little less effective. But coming from, I have some background in telemarketing prior to Mediacom, and I can tell you that most legitimate businesses take warnings from the Do Not Gov site, very seriously. There's some hefty fines that come along with that. But I would encourage all of you, as often as you can, if you have a number that's bothering you, this is struggling, definitely enroll in Do Not on the .gov site and work. But in terms of your question about block by name, Something I'll look at. I would tell you probably not. The entire do not call registry is based on phone numbers. I think that would be a special challenge and probably difficult for us or for any telecommunications company to achieve, but something.
Just another question, and somebody else brought it up there. When you guys come out and find a defective line outside on a terminal box to another terminal box, you stretch these orange cables across 4 or 5 people's driveways to go from one tower to the next. Those things hang out there for 3 months or so. Don't you or shouldn't you have? I know you use subcontractors to go bury the cable, but shouldn't you have some control on a time factor when they need to get out there and bury that cable?
Yes,
Absolutely. I've got one across the street. It's not bothering me, but it's just a point of concern. I got one across the street from me going about 5 houses across the driveways and everything, one tower to another. And,
there's quite a few of them.
Been out there for a month or more, you know what I mean?
I know at this point in time, we have a lot of pens out there right now to get buried. And as far as them being on the ground for months, no, they should not be. Somebody has missed it and not turned it in. We ask all of our techs to make sure if you see one on the ground, report it. Whether you put it on the ground or not, it doesn't matter. Just report it so we have a record of it.
This is right on the parkway, and it's been there for over a month. And your text you when they go from one house to another, they got to go up and down the parkway. They pass one another all the time.
Yes. If you could give me an address or a vicinity on that after the meeting, write it down and we'll get that taken care of.
We have on the ground across the street from our house. The other for 3-4 months. And I know it's been reported because they come out and mark the street twice for somebody to come out and work it and nobody showed up.
Okay.
That's the same way on the other end. The street's been marked.
And you've got 2 on your street alone.
On our street
Okay.
alone. One's been there since middle of summer. We actually thought the guy was stealing cable was going to his boat. But then we noticed it goes into his garage, and it's an orange one, so it must be.
Okay.
We don't think he's stealing cable.
Well, we'll get your street, address after the meeting. No, we'll definitely check this out. Get this there. Yes, sir.
I've lived a bunch of different places, and I've had Time Warner, Cox Cable, Comcast, that Dish Network, now Mediacom. And the one thing I noticed with you all that you don't have is after a service call, you don't have a feedback mechanism to provide feedback on that service call.
Well, here's what we do have. What's supposed to happen is 30 minutes after the phone call or after the service call, Mitch, do you know, is it 30 minutes? We do a call back to customer.
Yeah, I don't know that we've. You correct me if I'm wrong on the text. I also don't know that we're doing that on 100% of phone calls at this point.
Not 100%.
I never had that.
I have a project team that works on that. We do make several 100 calls a day out to customers post install, and then I get a data file every day that kind of gives us some feedback on what's happened there. And we have a team that looks at any reported negative customer experiences and attempts to reach back out to contact. We don't do that for 100% of our calls today. It is something that we would like to implement.
Is it random?
We're just not there yet. It is random. It's completely random. And we do the same thing in the customer service centers today. So there are callbacks that happen after calls in the call center, again on a random basis, and we do anywhere from 500 to 1,000 calls a day back out to customers. We receive that feedback. We actually have real-time mechanisms in place now, so that if any customer that's talked to the call center scores us poorly, we actually have an auto-generated email that's coming into our supervisor that manages that individual rep. They have an opportunity to, in near real time, listen to that call, understand what was going on, and reach back out to the customer, see if we can go a different direction in terms of finding the right support mechanism. Again, these are things on both sides, on the build side of the house and in the call center, that we've started in the last year. We continue to make more and more of those outbound calls and gain more feedback, but it's not something that happens on 100% of transactions. So we have about a dozen call centers that are here in the States. We have a call center in Dagsboro. Is your closest call center. We have about,
I don't think I've ever gotten that. But.
Well, there's only about 15 seats there. And you'll see one of the things we try to do is we want to be a good community partner. We try to employ in the communities that we serve. I think that's just a good idea. So we have a lot of smaller call centers. Our two major hubs are in Des Moines, Iowa, Greece, Florida. In addition to that, we have a call center in Columbus, Georgia, Valdosta, Georgia, Waseca, Minnesota, Des Moines, Iowa, Mean, Illinois, Chillicothe, Illinois, Springfield, Missouri. So we have a number of call centers seating anywhere from 15 to 200 people scattered across the country. Again, we think it's a good idea to employ in the communities that we service. It's also a good idea for us from a redundancy perspective to make sure that if we have a major storm or a major event in an area, we can pretty successfully roll those calls through to another call center. I know one of the things we hear a lot is that you'd like to talk to somebody locally, and where we can, we would love to talk to you locally. We also believe that you value your time a little more than you value talking to somebody. And when we look at a virtual center and we can take your call on a first person available basis, it's allowed us to get to a point where, last year we answered about 93% of the calls in the call center in 60 seconds or less. We can get somebody on the phone with you fairly quickly. And I can tell you I've been with the organization since 2006. And in 2006, shamefully, it wasn't very uncommon for you to wait 10 or 15 minutes to talk to somebody who called us. So we believe the first part of a good customer experience is to try, in so much as we can, to not take more of your time than you have to. But so, again, it's possible that you talk to somebody in Dagsboro when you call in. It's more likely most of the time you're going to talk to somebody in Greece, Florida, or Des Moines, Iowa, just because those are large hubs for us.
You just mentioned
No, we have a call center in the Philippines that does some outsourcing.
So it was right. I did get the Philippines. Okay.
You well could have. So the Philippines primarily helps support us in the late evening, so what we would consider nights. It's possible to get them in the early afternoon as well, post 3 p.m. It's going to be very rare that you call during the meteor part of the business day to talk to somebody from the source center. And again, the idea there is that most of the time in the evenings, for the number, we employ some people and they spend time sitting around and they're not very effective, correct? Or we put the number of people there necessary to take the calls, but then when something severe happens, an outage occurs, the 4 or 5 people that work overnights can't be effective. So outsourcers allow us to bring in a larger amount of staff to back us up during time and provide some additional efficiency. We think by and large that they do a pretty good job. We have issues there. We have issues in our in-house call centers as well. We're not by any means under the belief that we never have a problem where every time you call us it's a great experience. We're working towards that. We believe that we're much better today than we were 2 years ago or 5 years ago. And our goal is to make sure that every time you contact us, whether it's in the call center, that it's a fantastic experience. And that's what we're working towards. That's why we're here today. That's why we want to talk to you guys. We want to get this feedback and try to make sure that as we move forward, the service experience you have is as good as possible.
In that regard, I said that girl office twice, and everyone there was knowledgeable, everything taken care of satisfactorily, nice people, and
Thank you.
and I think we should give credit.
Oh, we appreciate that.
We
Second that. Great team.
We certainly like to hear the positive as well. We welcome the negative. We love to hear the positive too. I know there's some folks in here that have been sitting here, and I hope your questions have been answered. But is there anybody who hasn't spoken? Their questions haven't been answered, or
We're just lucky we haven't had.
We have no issues.
I'm sorry, could you say that louder?
But do you guys have this meeting once a year?
Yes. We did not have one last year. We had Glenn Bisagno, used to be our area operations director, fell ill. I took over, and there were some scheduling issues between the two of us, and so we kind of put it off until our management was back in place. So Pat was promoted in October, and after several back and forths trying to set up meetings for us all to get here, we got to this date, which I believe we picked in January, I think, and we finally settled on this date.
So you do this once a year?
Yes, ma'am.
That's the same time.
Well, we may end up getting back on the fall course and trying again in the fall. We may keep it in the spring if that seems better. It's, we just try and coordinate it so it's good for everybody to be.
I did have a situation seems to have been improved, but the voice is not in line with the person talking. It's out of sync.
On your television?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's only a couple of stations really did what they. It's not a big problem, but it's annoying.
It's annoying.
Yeah,
Yes.
especially on
Well,
the close-up.
it's terribly annoying. What channels have you noticed that on?
5 and 6 seem to be the ones that.
Are they Chinese?
Speaking of Chinese movies, these commercials. Who controls the commercials?
The network. The networks.
The network, like WBOC or whatever.
They sell their advertising.
Where they start
If
the
the TV
national
comes
commercial,
on-
stop it, the local.
The commercial comes on, and it'll be on for like 6 seconds, and then bang, there's another one on. It starts. Then they repeat the one they just cut off, and I long for the days. These people remember rabbit ears and aluminum foil. I never thought I'd miss that.
Like I just said, we're gonna leave. So
Okay.
I'm gonna say that whenever we've had a service call come out, when we replaced our DVR, where they talked to us about. But anyway, all the service calls that we've had, we haven't had many, of different technicians. They were very, very good,
Thank you.
very pleasant. Ran cables into our bedrooms and all that, just in case if we have a TV, we never watch it there. But anyway, did a fantastic job. One service tech and all that was by himself. He said, I'm going to have to call my partner or another service tech in Pines and have him come in and help, because what he had to do was go underneath. It was a two-man job to hold. And so he called his buddy or whatever. Like 10 minutes later, another truck comes up, guy gets in. You have to go into my crawl space. I have a very small crawl space. If you're a big person, you can have trouble getting in there. So this guy, the first guy that came, was a little bit bigger to me. He says, my buddy's a little smaller than me. So he had to be on top. But anyway, they did a great job. And he ran another cable in there just in case I wanted to put a TV in.
Thank you guys.
So anyway,
Thank you.
we've had good luck. And when our internet goes out, like it went out this morning, it wasn't Mediacom, it was... No, I'm not. I'm the Yahoo. I don't touch the TV. I don't touch the modem. Thank you. Thank you.
Please, okay. Anyone that has
If you want to give me your name, I can
Your name
have
and
somebody
address.
actually pull them up online. Okay, I don't know really want to take your bill though, because I can access your bill online.
Well, that's right.
Yeah, so we can pull this stuff from the office, and what I'm going to do is have a call center supervisors look at it, because I'm not a billing
Delaware or?
but let me just break down.
Oh, you work in? Okay. Oh, sitting at the table at the grade, did you recognize me? I was a free student. My husband told me, he says, well, at the end, he said, you started off well, but at the end, we got really personal. Oh, no. Because I wasn't trying to be personal. I tried to keep it with what I knew, but then when Bob, God bless his heart, I had to go up and apologize to him afterwards. Oh, that's sad. Because he just kind of like went up against him.
I just understand. My mother's the same situation.
Every issue.
I pay. I can't afford it. Yeah, I know exactly what you want.